so happy we alive.
The public about cannabis and why cannabis laws need to be reformed, and we do that by having fun events on campus just to bring the community out, get their attention, and maybe try to impart a little bit of knowledge to them so that when bills are introduced, they can tell their senators or their congresspeople to vote for them, or they themselves can vote yes on our initiatives. And so it's important to decide what message you want to get across. We have lots of chapters using the safer message. Cannabis is safer than alcohol. That's a great message. In Santa Barbara, we're really blessed. There's really no opposition. It might make things sound easy. Sometimes it's hard to get attention. But as Chris was explaining with the HEA resolutions, I didn't have to gather 3,000 signatures. I just went to the Office of Student Life and found out where I was supposed to go to get something like that introduced, and somebody did it for me. One of the Associated Students members said, "Oh, I'll introduce that at the Ledge Council meeting and get it passed." And a week later, I had passed an AS resolution saying UC Santa Barbara supported ending the higher education provision which denied financial aid. And so it was so easy to just get something done right away. It didn't take a lot of...
The true passion of this administration. Walters, you saw last year, all of a sudden, the Sheriff's Association, the National Sheriff's Association, lambasted John Walters. So why is he talking about marijuana? Usually sheriffs like talking about marijuana, but now they're freaked out about methamphetamine. For good reason, for pretend reasons, whatever. But between methamphetamine and marijuana, John Walters is this. So you can see he can't give it up. So he goes out there and he talks about methamphetamine, he talks about task force. He's always looking to find ways to put in there the need for coerced treatment and for more criminal sanctions and for more restrictions and all this sort of stuff. But we know where his passion is on this issue. We know what he really wants to be doing is going out there. He's afraid to condemn medical marijuana, right? John Walters will never have a one-on-one debate, nor will other members of the administration ever have a one-on-one debate on this issue. They are afraid. He's surrounded by phalanxes of people to keep him from being exposed to any counter-arguments. He dare not get within a mile's distance or shouting distance of a doctor, of a patient, or of a scientist. Just on the point of declaring, but I think what Drug Policy Alliance is going to try to do at the end of this year is pull together some great big little event in San Francisco. Because the time is right. You know, it's interesting, and here I'm just speaking very personally and organizationally, but 1996, some of this was about my colleagues. It was about Marcia Rosenbaum creating the Lindismith Center in San Francisco, our first branch office, because working with the mayors and the civil authorities, because this was, the Amsterdam of America. Right? This was the place at the cutting edge. It was my colleague Dan Abramson also joining me in 1996. Dan so pivotally involved in drafting Prop 36 and defending the medical marijuana cases and working with Graham Boyd and the ACLU on the case to defend the First Amendment rights of doctors and patients to talk about this. And of course it will also be the 10th anniversary of when Prop 215 was passed. None of us could have imagined or envisioned this was a pipe dream. It was a pipe dream. We didn't know that other states and what a dozen other states would be having this now. It was a pipe dream and we made it happen.
Louisville Late Night. This evening.
Integration is something that we've struggled with forever, and providing a continuum of care so when people go to get their food stamps, they're also getting their substance abuse counseling, and they're also getting their welfare counseling, and they're also getting their job training all in the same building. And I think that a lot of that's going on in these cannabis facilities, and people go to get their medicine, but they stay because they feel supported and they feel like they're getting something out of it besides just the cannabis. And that's what I really want to get into academia. That's what I really want to get into the journals, and that's what I really want to get into the public. Because I think once the public sees the benefits of these facilities and what's really going on, that it's not only going to benefit the medical cannabis community, but it's going to benefit the rest of the health and social service community because we can learn from each other. So thank you, and I'll take any questions if we have any time. Questions at the end.
Round. They're going to be collectives that they believe can operate still legally within law and not get the licensing, which will also be okay. But there will be a handful that will merge integrated into the urban fabric, and all pot smokers, all people tolerant of cannabis and cannabis use will be better for there being more obvious, more visible spaces. I wanted to include this one that I think is a really great model. It's Richard Lee's coffee shop SR71. It is a coffee shop and also a cafe. So if you don't have a medical marijuana card, you can go in and buy coffee. And they just keep the sales of the cannabis from medicinal use separate. And I think it's a great way to have them open, visible spaces. Why not let all of them be places we can go get yoga and maybe play bingo, and you can only purchase if you're a patient, but you can actually hang out. If you have friends that are sick, you need to help them get there. Don't have to be official caregiver, but let them be more integrated with all of us. And I just wanted to put up one quick map. Sorry, there's a lot of text, so don't try to read it all because I'm going to flip it before you can see it all. This is a map of the 219 current cannabis dispensaries that I got from the Cal Normal site. And they're everywhere. This is by county. The cities, the urban centers typically have a lot more, but there is some really tiny communities too. There's 200.
The ironic thing is that Canada, in a year ago, approved the sale of medicinal cannabis in Canada. It's called tincture cannabis, and I'm guessing that the problem is, again, lack of reading. And this really makes a great introduction for my talk, because we've got a lot of important issues that medical marijuana touches on. As several of the speakers earlier have said, this is much more important than cannabis. It has to do with the Constitution, with the First, Fourth, Fifth, 10th Amendment, and question of whether or not HHS has to follow the Data Quality Act. Do the FDA protocols make sense? What about drug safety? I mean, here we have 5,000 years of experience versus Vioxx, and a few years of research there. Manufactured chemical is somehow better than an herb that has 5,000 years of history. Unfortunately, maybe it hasn't gone through the rigor of Vioxx. I say that firmly tongue-in-cheek because it has gone through the rigor of Vioxx and much more. Maybe
serious side effects with the heart problems that it caused. But they prevented him from mounting a defense, and he languishes in prison now. How many other vicious, scumbag, unconstitutional persecutors are at work? We need to go after this corrupt snake that rots from the head on down. The latest evidence is of course, the FDA showing us what is meant by memory hole. I don't know how many people have read 1984, but this describes what Winston Smith was up to in his job of rewriting history. And this is what these assholes, prevaricators, and criminals under color of authority continue to do. Well, I appreciate your suffering my bile, so to speak. But it's not backing up on me anymore. I'm thankful to say, and please direct it properly. And, don't take apart us physicians and question whether or not we crossed every T or dotted every I. Look at the assholes and perpetrators that are persecuting us and why they're doing it under what authority. And don't let the media just get away with sweeping it under the rug. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
San Francisco, California.
Getting the medical cannabis. So doctors should not, keep an arm's length relationship from dispensaries. Love the dispensaries, some of my best friends, blah, blah, blah. But doctors should not be doing this cross-referring. Other threats, of course, the CNO, California Narcotics Association, as of last week, still said on their website there is no justification for using marijuana as medicine. And this lie, of course, is thoroughly contradicted by the IOM. Other threats, state police, we've already talked about that. They've got the Return of Property campaign is one. Great grassroots organization. Other threats, the medical board is controlled by law enforcement. Inappropriate investigations, etc. All the reports reports were investigated, of the 11 or 12 doctors I know were initiated by law enforcement. The problem, two problems here with the doctors is that we're not knowledgeable about cannabis. There's 2 generations, 3 generations of doctors that know nothing about medical cannabis. They're afraid of the medical board even if they don't have anything to do with cannabis. I mean, they're just all afraid of, the principal or the teacher.